Welcome to Brand Builders TV. Deep dive topics, tools and resources brought to you by global thought leaders from within the Brand Builders Club. This show gives you access to the strategies that you can use to move forward with ease and flow in every area of your life and business. On today's show, Carol takes you through part 1 of this 3-part series, turning your Mission Impossible dream into your dream reality. Today's show is all about taking you on a path that gets you totally focused on your core strengths. You'll be taken through a guided exercise that you can do yourself, with your teams, and with your family to ensure you're staying in true alignment with who you really are. Carol is known as the A Game Accelerator, supporting business owners like you to operate productively, increase your performance, and grow your profit. Learn it, model it, and get shit done. Let's go.
Welcome to Brand Builders TV. I am Carol Vincie, the founder of Productivity Tools and Insights, a speaker, author, and I played in the venture capital arena during the dot-com craze of the 90s. And I very specifically use the term play, as you will see as I progress through the program today. As many of us have experienced in today's chaotic environment, we have felt the need to maybe find a different role in our life. And I'm using the play on impossible missions achieved and Mission Impossible, the series of programs that many of you may have watched live or have been binge watch on some of the follow-on programs. They had the ability to combine nerve-shattering and exhilarating experiences. And your mission, if you choose to accept, is to uncover the gifts, talents, or maybe even a little magic that you and you alone possess to change the world. Now, I mentioned nerve-shattering because you're standing on a precipice, say that 3 times fast, and you may be frightened about leaving the security of your existing environment. I'm here to help with that process. Now, many of you may say, that's truly Mission Impossible. I'm the primary breadwinner for my household. They depend on my regular paycheck. I don't have the education, skill, or time to take on anything else. I'm taking care of my family. I'm too busy. I'm sure you've heard the expression, the sandwich generation. All the kids and our parents. My spouse or significant other will not tolerate a change in our relationship. He leaves his clothes all over the house and assumes I will pick up after him. She demands an unlimited spending budget. If any of these things sound familiar, make a note as we progress through the process. You may ask, why am I willing to take on the Mission Impossible project of uncovering your passion and helping you discover what you are here to accomplish? I want to accelerate that process. My discovery process took a very long time, and I want you to be able to make a contribution and have a significant impact as quickly as possible. Let me share a little bit about my process. I'm dyslexic, and when I went to school, very little was known about the, I don't want to say defect, but the malady. And my parents certainly were not prepared to admit that they had a defective child. When words are a challenge, reading is not your favorite activity. As a matter of fact, I avoided it at all costs. So I thought I was the only one in the world who suffered with this challenge. When I went through a job assessment, the top activity or profession was a trial attorney. And if you know me well, you know that my decisive, direct, and aggressive behavior is certainly a good fit for that profession. Except my poor reading skills just eliminated that option. In school, mathematics and music were easy choices because I didn't have to deal with those confusing letters. Oh my God, just frightening. When I entered the job market, the computer field was just beginning to explode. There were limited opportunities for women, but programming revealed some of the same dyslexic challenges that I experienced in other areas. I discovered my magic when I came upon project design. I could work across industries. I worked in the brokerage industry down on Wall Street, the healthcare industry for a project in Chicago for the Blue Cross Blue Shield headquarters. I worked with claims processing, retail for Sears when they had 860 stores around the country, and finally distributed computing when that became the burgeoning technology in the late 80s. All of these use the same core skills that I have. I also realized that I had another challenge. I am attention deficit disorder. Now, that doesn't necessarily show up in school because women typically don't exhibit the hyperactivities portion of it. So there's attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Boys show more of the hyperactivity. So my turn. They're very disruptive in class, and that's where the teacher's focused. Where women tend to be more shy and daydreamers, so we're good students. We sit quietly in the classroom. We're not disruptive. The teachers are glad to have us there, but they're also glad to sort of just pass over what else might be going on. But some of the strengths of dyslexia, ADD and ADHD, are not really focused on. And some of them are hyperfocus. I wrote the first draft of my first book in 3 weeks. The mail never got opened for those 3 weeks, but I had a draft of my book. High energy. Some of my colleagues referred to me as the Energizer Bunny because I am always going, always coming up with new ideas and new ventures. Tenacity. I do not give up. I am a risk taker, sometimes to my own detriment. And leadership is another one of the characteristics that is associated with ADD and ADHD. Now, I'm sharing this because I wanted to give you a little bit of background, and I want you to understand that even if you're sitting there, the example that I used at the beginning, I don't have the education, I don't have the skill, or I don't have the time, are not barriers. We each have something that is truly a gift that we alone possess, that we can implement to make our impact on the world. And that's what I'm trying to help you accomplish. Now, there are 3 aspects of reaching a decision on, do you stay in a job that you may not like, or do you move on and launch your own business? The 3 things are, what are your basic talents? How do you manage time? And what are the tasks that are critical that will lead you to success and the ability to maybe have an income stream before you resign from your existing business? And today's focus will be on what are your talents. And people have said to me, Carol, I have no idea what my talents are. How do I go about understanding what those skills are? Well, there's a document that is available attached to the program. But for right now, I want you to take a piece of paper and just draw a line in the middle. And on one side, put what I love. On the other side, what I hate. And this applies to whether you are working in a business environment, whether you're a household manager, whether you are working in the community. There are things that we are attracted to by a position. And I want you to take a moment and write 3 things about what you're doing right now, right in this moment. And think about, what do you love about that? And just 3 things. And take a moment to do that. And while you're noodling on that, I will share a couple of the things that I wrote down when this was presented to me years ago, when I was in transition from my corporate job to starting my own business. And one is autonomy. For me, that is critical. I want people to tell me what to do in terms of, here's a task, what's the deadline, and then virtually get the hell out of the way. Knowing that I'm smart enough to come and ask for help when I need it, but literally leaving me to my own devices to get it done. That's one that's really important. It needs to be a challenge. I want to be able to learn something, and I want to be able to solve a difficult problem. Now, this may not be something that you aspire to, but that's me, and I'm a risk taker. So I'm willing to crawl out on a limb and hope that it doesn't break off while I try to figure out a solution. And risk does not bother me. Now, you may be very risk adverse. So that's the positive side. On what do I hate about that job? Detailed work. I mean, I just, I will do it once, but then repetitive, boring activities held absolutely no interest for me. So I'd like you to take the time after this session and go through that exercise for 5 different roles. It could be all business roles. It could be a combination of business and family responsibilities, both the loves and the hates. And when I introduced myself as playing in the venture capital arena, the reason that I use playing is, even though the schedule was grueling, I hired 41 people in 90 calendar days. I'm not a recruiter, but that was the role I needed to take on to build a company that was strong enough so that I could find investors. And I did, in fact, find a $15 million investor for this company way back then. But the schedule was, I was in the office at 7 and barely back to my hotel room by 11 that night. But I loved every minute of it. So it wasn't work. It was incredibly satisfying. There was a lot of risk. It was fast-paced, and that fit my definition of a great opportunity. This is only the beginning of your talent assessment. I use a series of web-based assessment tools that will give you much better description with a narrative. And I'll share this example. One of my clients, who's a sales rep, took the assessment, and it pointed out that he had bad detail skills. And he resisted. Oh no, that's not me. And I'm not going to argue, but I was a sales rep in a good part of my corporate career. And I know we're terrible at detail. I mean, come on, but I wasn't going to argue. So I gave him the hard copy of his report. He went off and called me back a couple of weeks later and said, I reread the report, and I give him credit because some people would have just tossed it in the corner and said that, this is garbage. But he reread the report, and what he realized was when he submitted his expense accounts, they got rejected 3 or 4 times, which meant the American Express bill showed up long before he had reimbursement for his legitimate business expenses. So he said, I made this small change. I took 20 minutes at the end of every day, and I completed my expenses for that day. And he said, I just got my first check back the first time I submitted the form. It wasn't rejected. I now have money that I can pay my American Express bill. So he thanked me for that process. And he has made one small change in his behavior that made a huge difference. The other thing about this form that I'm asking excuse me, to fill out is, what are the hates? I need to take a glass of water. Hold on. Sorry about that. You're going to find someone as you build your business who's going to look at the hate side of your list and say, oh my God, that's a perfect job for me. And as you build your business, that's what you want to achieve. You want people in your organization that love what you couldn't stand to do, but are yet essential for the business. And the best example of this is a story that Barbara Corcoran records on one of her videos. Barbara who is now one of the regulars on Shark Tank, a program where they evaluate new business opportunities and make investment choices. She started out in the real estate business in New York City. Very competitive market. And she is a super salesperson. And she hired a bunch of super salespeople, which meant all of the listings and all of the closing documents were scattered all over the office. Nothing was organized. And when a property sold, it was impossible to figure out who would share in the commissions. Barbara found herself across the desk from a woman she was interviewing, and Barbara was saying, how do I get this person out of my office? We share nothing in common. Barbara ends the meeting professionally. The woman takes her business card and Barbara's business card, and puts it in her purse in an organized filing system. Barbara hired her on the spot. In a couple of weeks, all the files were organized. There were registration systems for listing. There was no dispute over commission, and Barbara was able to grow her business at a phenomenal rate. When Barbara sold her business, she made multi-million dollars on the transaction, and this woman who was about to get thrown out of the office had a 7-digit check sitting in her bank account when the business was sold. I want you to be able to have people that you work with as you grow your business who fill the gaps that you're not prepared for, or not interested in, or have avoided, which has put a crimp in your ability to grow. I want to take you now to understand what's coming next. I will be offering another program next week, and there we will focus on time management. How do you find that hour or two a week or even a day that you can launch your business, if that's where you choose, the direction you choose to go, and create a positive revenue stream, so when you reach the point of resigning from your existing business to start your own, you will be able to fill that gap and continue to be the breadwinner for your family that you are now fulfilling. I thank you for your time and look forward to meeting you next week.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show today as much as we've enjoyed making it for you. If you've got anything out of this episode, please do tell someone else how they can subscribe to the Brand Builders TV channel at youtube.com/brandbuilderstv. Why not join us at our next Brand Builders Thinkubator, a global mastermind that we run every week to take away the loneliness of being in business on your own. For more information and to book your place, visit light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. That's light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. Until next time, be the ripple that you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you soon.